The polished oak desk gleamed under the chandelier lights as the hotel manager slid the booking form back across to Journee with a sympathetic but firm smile. "I'm afraid we have to decline your request to host the wedding here for you and Leighton," he said quietly, his voice carrying the weight of unspoken policy. Journee felt the room spin, her hand tightening around Leighton's in a desperate grip as the words landed like a slap she had spent 15 years trying to forget. Leighton's face paled beside her, the soft glow of the lobby's crystal fixtures suddenly too harsh on her dark curls and wide brown eyes. "This can't be right," Journee whispered, her voice cracking. "We've paid the deposit. We chose this place because it's supposed to be inclusive." The manager glanced nervously toward the marble columns where 2 security guards lingered, then lowered his tone even further. "It's not about the deposit, Miss Thompson. Corporate reviewed the booking and determined it doesn't align with our current standards for private events." Outside the Grand Horizon Hotel on Michigan Avenue, Chicago's autumn wind whipped through the canyons of glass and steel, carrying the distant honk of taxis and the faint scent of roasted chestnuts from street vendors. Journee stood frozen on the sidewalk, her cream-colored coat flapping open, while Leighton paced in tight circles, phone already in hand. "They can't just do this," Leighton muttered, thumbs flying across the screen. "I'm posting it right now. People need to know." Journee reached for her arm but stopped short, the old familiar shame rising like bile. 15 years ago she had walked away from this same woman for reasons that still haunted her dreams. Now at 35, with a successful marketing career and a condo overlooking the lake, she had convinced herself the past was buried. But the refusal had cracked the ground open again. As Leighton's voice rose in indignation, Journee's mind slipped backward without warning. She was 20 again, standing in the same hotel's rooftop garden during her grandmother's annual charity gala. The city lights twinkled below like scattered diamonds while Leighton, then a vibrant art student with paint flecks on her jeans, had pulled her behind a potted palm and kissed her for the first time. The memory tasted sweet and poisonous at once. Journee had laughed into the kiss, heart racing with the kind of freedom she had never known in her strict Connecticut upbringing. But the next morning her grandmother Eleanor had summoned her to the penthouse suite, documents spread across the mahogany table like accusations. "This family built an empire on reputation," Eleanor had said, voice cold as winter steel. "You will not throw it away for a phase." Journee had cried that night, but by sunrise she had ended things with Leighton over a trembling phone call, citing family obligations and not being ready. The lie had cost her everything she truly wanted. Back in the present, Leighton's phone buzzed with the first wave of supportive comments, but Journee could already feel the tide turning. A few replies accused them of pushing an agenda, and one tagged the hotel's official account. The manager appeared at the revolving doors, face tight. "Ladies, I must ask you to leave the premises." Leighton stepped forward, protective fire in her eyes, but Journee pulled her back, the old instinct to avoid scandal kicking in hard. They walked away in silence, the weight of stares from passers-by pressing down like invisible hands. By the time they reached their car, Journee's phone was exploding with messages from distant cousins and old college friends who had seen the post. "Is this for real?" One read. "Your grandmother owns half that place, doesn't she?" Journee stared at the screen until the words blurred. She hadn't spoken to Eleanor in 6 years, not since the funeral of her own mother, and the idea that the woman who had once destroyed her happiness now held the keys to this moment felt like cosmic cruelty. Leighton drove in tense silence, knuckles white on the steering wheel. "We'll find another venue," she said finally, but her voice lacked conviction. Journee nodded, yet inside she was unraveling. The refusal wasn't random. It carried the scent of old interference. As they crossed the bridge over the Chicago River, the water reflecting the city's glittering skyline, Journee's phone rang with an unrecognized number. She answered without thinking. The voice on the other end was unmistakable, clipped and commanding even after all these years. "Journee Marie Thompson. We need to talk. I'm downstairs at your building in 10 minutes. The line went dead. Leighton glanced over, concern etching her features. Who was that? Journee swallowed hard, the past and present colliding with brutal force. My grandmother. Eleanor Hargrove stepped out of the black town car like she owned the entire block, which technically she might. At 78 she still carried herself with the posture of a woman who had negotiated with senators and crushed competitors without raising her voice. Her silver hair was swept into an impeccable chignon, and her navy wool coat bore the subtle crest of the family hotel chain. Journee stood on the curb outside her Lakeshore Drive condo, Leighton hovering protectively at her side. The wind off the lake cut through them both. "Grandmother," Journee said, the word tasting like rust. Eleanor's sharp blue eyes flicked to Leighton, then back. "Inside. Now." The elevator ride was silent except for the soft ding of passing floors. Once inside the condo, Eleanor wasted no time. She placed a thick envelope on the granite island and tapped it once. "The Grand Horizon has been in our family since 1927. I hold 51% of the voting shares. The manager acted on my direct instruction." Leighton's sharp inhale filled the room. Journee stared at the envelope as if it might explode. "Why?" she whispered. Eleanor's gaze softened for the briefest second, then hardened again. "Because some mistakes deserve to stay buried, and you seem determined to dig them up in public." The words triggered another wave of memory so vivid Journee had to grip the counter. She was 21, standing in Eleanor's Connecticut estate library, rain lashing the windows. Leighton had just been accepted to a prestigious MFA program in New York, and they had planned to go together. "I love her," Journee had confessed, tears streaming. Eleanor had not yelled. She simply opened a folder and slid across photographs. Journee and Leighton kissing outside a campus cafe, laughing at a pride parade in New Haven. "These would destroy the IPO we're preparing," Eleanor stated flatly. "The board already whispers about your mother's unfortunate choices. I will not let you repeat them." Journee remembered the exact moment her spine had snapped under the pressure. The threat to cut her tuition, to blacklist Leighton from every gallery in the Northeast, to expose her own mother's hidden struggles with depression that had been quietly managed with family money. She had driven to Leighton's dorm that night, ended it in the hallway with shaking hands, and watched the woman she loved walk away believing she had never mattered enough. The guilt had never left. It had only learned to hide behind promotions and carefully curated social media posts. Leighton's voice pulled her back. "You're admitting you tanked our wedding because of something that happened 15 years ago?" Eleanor turned to her with clinical calm. "I am protecting what remains of this family's legacy. Journee made a choice once. She chose correctly. Bringing you back into her life now, parading it in one of our own hotels, is spitting on that sacrifice." Journee's chest tightened. "Sacrifice? You forced me to throw away the only real thing I ever had." Eleanor's lips thinned. "And look at you now, successful, respected, alive. Your mother wasn't so lucky." The room went still. Journee had never been told the full story of her mother's death, only that it was a tragic accident on a rainy road. Suddenly the pieces shifted. Leighton stepped between them. "We're not leaving Chicago. We'll get married somewhere else. And we'll make sure everyone knows why the Grand Horizon said no." Eleanor smiled without warmth. "Do that, and I will release every document proving Journee willingly signed away her rights to the family trust the day she ended your little romance. Public opinion can be very unforgiving." She slid the envelope closer. "Read it. Then decide if 15 years of silence was worth ending now." With that, Eleanor turned and left, the door clicking shut like a gavel. Leighton sank onto the couch, head in her hands. Journee opened the envelope with trembling fingers. Inside were notarized share certificates, old emails, and a single photograph of her and Leighton from that rooftop garden. Edges worn from years of handling. The past wasn't buried. It had been weaponized. By morning the story had exploded. Local news picked up Leighton's post, then national LGBT outlets ran headlines. Chicago hotel chain denies lesbian wedding amid family ownership scandal. Journee's inbox overflowed with interview requests and hateful messages in equal measure. She sat at her kitchen table surrounded by coffee mugs and printed screenshots while Leighton fielded calls from their wedding planner. "We can pivot to the rooftop at the Art Institute," the planner suggested, voice overly bright. "But the deposit is non-refundable and the Grand Horizon is already trending." Journee rubbed her temples. The trending part was the problem. Hashtags like boycott Grand Horizon and Journee Thompson betrayed love were climbing. Old college acquaintances she hadn't spoken to in years were weighing in, some defending her past choice as youthful confusion, others calling her a traitor to the community she had quietly supported through donations, but never publicly claimed. Leighton hung up and crossed her arms. We need to talk about what really happened back then. No more half-truths. Journee met her gaze and felt the weight of every unsaid word. I was scared. Eleanor threatened to destroy your future and mine. I thought if I let you go, I could protect us both. Leighton's laugh was bitter. Protect me? I spent years believing I was disposable to you. I almost didn't come back to Chicago last year because of how thoroughly you broke me. The confession hung between them like smoke. Journee reached across the table, but Leighton pulled away. Your grandmother just proved she still controls everything, including you. The doorbell rang before Journee could answer. A courier handed over another thick envelope, this one from Eleanor's attorney. Inside was a formal letter offering to resolve the matter privately, if they canceled the public narrative, and moved the wedding out of state. Attached were copies of trust documents Journee had signed at 21, renouncing any claim to hotel shares in exchange for her continued education funding. But the final page made her blood run cold. A handwritten note from her mother, dated 3 months before her death, begging Eleanor to let Journee live her truth so she doesn't end up like me. The implication landed like a fist. Her mother's accident had never been random. The family had silenced her too. Leighton read over her shoulder, breath-catching. She knew. Journee nodded, tears finally spilling. And I repeated the cycle. The confrontation escalated that afternoon when Eleanor arrived unannounced with 2 board members in tow. They gathered in the condo living room like a corporate tribunal. Sign this non-disclosure, and the wedding can proceed at the Grand Horizon next month, Eleanor stated, sliding fresh papers forward. The shares remain mine, but the optics improve. One board member, an older man with a silver mustache, cleared his throat. Public opinion is turning against us. Stock is down 3% already. Eleanor silenced him with a look. Journee stared at the documents, then at Leighton, whose face was a mask of exhausted hope. For the first time in 15 years, Journee felt the old fear crack. No, she said quietly. I'm done signing away pieces of myself. The board members exchanged uneasy glances. Eleanor's expression remained granite. You're making a mistake. Journee stood, legs steadier than she expected. The mistake was letting you dictate my life once. I won't let you do it again. Leighton rose beside her, their shoulders brushing in silent solidarity. The older board member cleared his throat again. Perhaps we can negotiate the venue without the non-disclosure. Eleanor shot him a glare that could freeze Lake Michigan. There will be no negotiation. The shares are mine. The decision is mine. But Journee saw the flicker of uncertainty in her grandmother's eyes for the first time. The woman who had orchestrated empires suddenly faced a granddaughter who refused to fold. That evening the story mutated online. A viral thread from a former hotel employee revealed that Eleanor had personally called the manager the day their booking was confirmed. Screenshots of internal emails circulated, quoting Eleanor's exact words. Decline any event involving my granddaughter and that woman. The backlash intensified. Protesters gathered outside the Grand Horizon by dusk, rainbow flags waving against the autumn chill. Journee and Leighton watched the live stream from their couch, hands intertwined. This is bigger than us now, Leighton whispered. Journee nodded, but the guilt still gnawed. Every angry comment tagging her name reminded her that she had once been the enforcer of her own erasure. Eleanor called at midnight. Come to the hotel. Alone. Journee went, driven by a need she couldn't name. The lobby was empty except for security and her grandmother standing beneath the same chandelier, where the refusal had begun. Eleanor held a single folder. Your mother wrote this the week before she died. I never gave it to you. Inside was a letter in her mother's looping handwriting. I loved a woman once too. They made me choose your father. I chose wrong. Don't let them choose for Journee. Tears blurred the ink. Eleanor's voice cracked for the first time in decades. I thought I was sparing you her pain. Instead I became the source of it. The admission hung between them, fragile as glass. Journee looked at the woman who had shaped her entire world and saw, finally, a human being carrying her own shattered love story. I'm marrying Leighton here, Journee said softly. And you're going to make it happen. Eleanor studied her for a long moment, then nodded once. The shares can be transferred. But the damage to this family may be permanent. Journee didn't flinch. Some damage needs light to heal. The next 48 hours blurred into a whirlwind of legal meetings, media statements, and whispered boardroom battles. Eleanor kept her word. The shares were quietly reassigned to Journee through a trust that gave her veto power over hotel policy. The manager who had delivered the original refusal was reassigned. Protesters outside received free coffee from the hotel's new management. Yet the personal storm raged on. Leighton's family, conservative Catholics from a small Illinois town, called in tears demanding explanations. Journee's own distant relatives flooded her with messages alternating between congratulations and condemnation. One cousin posted a video sermon labeling the entire situation, "the devil's work." The online vitriol intensified. Death threats arrived in her DMs, forcing them to hire private security. Through it all, Journee kept flashing back to fragments she had buried deeper. The night she had driven past Leighton's dorm after the breakup, parked in the shadows, and cried until dawn. The years of forcing smiles at family weddings while her heart stayed locked away. The quiet therapy sessions she had paid for in cash so Eleanor would never know. Leighton found her one night on the balcony overlooking the dark lake, wrapped in a blanket against the cold. "You're still punishing yourself," Leighton said gently. "Even now." Journee turned, wind tugging at her hair. "I let her break us. I let fear win." Leighton stepped closer, their foreheads touching. "We're here. We're fighting. That's not fear winning." But trust had cracks. During a heated argument about guest list changes, Leighton admitted, "Part of me still waits for you to choose them again." The words sliced deep. Journee spent the following day alone in the hotel's empty ballroom, the space they had originally booked, imagining the wedding that almost wasn't. She sat on the stage where the band would play, and let every suppressed memory surface. The laughter, the stolen kisses, the future they had planned before Eleanor's shadow fell across it. When Leighton finally joined her, Journee spoke the truth she had never fully voiced. "I was terrified of becoming my mother. Silenced, broken, erased. But by obeying Eleanor I became the silencer. I'm so sorry." Leighton's tears fell freely. "I forgive you. But you have to forgive yourself too." The board meeting the next morning was the true crucible. Eleanor presided, but Journee held the newly transferred shares. When a conservative faction pushed to reverse the policy change, Journee stood and addressed the room. "This hotel has hosted senators and celebrities for a century. It can host two women who love each other without apology." She referenced her mother's letter, reading the final paragraph aloud. The room fell silent. Even the hardest opponents looked away. Eleanor met her eyes across the table and gave the smallest nod of respect. The motion passed. The wedding was back on. The morning of the ceremony dawned crisp and clear, Lake Michigan sparkling under a rare November sun. The Grand Horizon ballroom had been transformed. White roses and soft lavender draped every surface, string lights mimicking the rooftop garden where their story had begun. Journee stood before the floor-to-ceiling windows in a tailored ivory suit, heart hammering with a mixture of joy and residual fear. Eleanor waited in the front row, posture still regal but eyes softer than Journee had ever seen. Leighton entered on her father's arm, radiant in a simple lace gown, and the entire room seemed to exhale. Vows were spoken with trembling voices and absolute certainty. "I choose you every day," Journee said. "Not because it's easy, but because it's right." When they kissed, the applause that followed felt like absolution. Later, during the first dance under the same chandelier that had once witnessed refusal, Eleanor approached. She pressed a small velvet box into Journee's hand. Inside lay the original photograph from the rooftop garden, restored and framed. "Your mother would have been proud," Eleanor whispered. "I was wrong for a very long time." Journee pulled her grandmother into a brief, fierce hug. The past would never vanish, but it no longer controlled them. As the night deepened and guests laughed and danced, Journee caught Leighton's eye across the room, and felt the last shard of guilt dissolve. They had survived the storm. True or false? Denying your true love to appease family pressure can ever be fully redeemed without leaving permanent scars on everyone involved?